Hi, my name is Barbecue Ribs, and this is going to be my first ever champion guide on YouTube. It's for Zed, who's probably my favorite champion just because of all the crazy plays you can pull off with him, and all the jukes you can do with the shadows. I've been playing League of Legends since Season 1, week 40 I think it was. Anyways, I had no idea what was going on back then, to say the least. Season 2 grinded my way down to 900 elo, but I did finish Platinum at the end of the season. Season 3 I hit Diamond 1, and now it's Season 4 and I'm sitting in my placements still. But enough about me, let's jump straight into his abilities. Zed's passive is Contempt for the Weak. It's a fairly straightforward passive. If your opponent is below 50% health, whether it's a monster, a minion, or a champion, a basic attack against them will deal a bonus percentage of their maximum health and magic damage. This passive is great for last hitting in lane, and it also adds a decent amount to Zed's burst. Also makes a cool sound whenever it's procced. Zed's Q is Razor Shuriken. Zed throws his shurikens in a line, and they do physical damage to enemies. However, if they hit more than one enemy, they only do full damage to the first enemy hit. And if an enemy is hit by 2 or more shurikens, they take reduced damage from the second and third ones. This ability is great for clearing waves, and it's good for poke. If you find yourself laning against a ranged champion, or someone who's really strong early like Pantheon or Lee Sin, don't be afraid to spam these, because they're on a relatively low cooldown, and because Zed uses energy. Zed's W is Living Shadow. Passively, it will increase Zed's bonus attack damage by percentage, kind of like an AD version of Rabadon's Death Cap. You can activate it throughout a shadow that will mimic all of Zed's abilities, excluding his ultimate. So for example, you throw out a W and you Q. You will throw a Q and your shadow will throw a Q as well. If you reactivate this ability, Zed will swap places with the shadow. This ability is great for juking and for getting out of sticky situations. Be careful about using it too often in lane because the cooldown is very long, and if you're caught without it up, you might have to blow flash or you might die. Zed's E is Shadow Slash. Zed does physical damage in a circle around him. The radius of this ability is quite small, maybe slightly larger than auto attack range. If you hit an enemy with the Shadow Slash of a shadow, they will be slowed in addition to taking damage. Zed's ultimate is Death Mark. And that noise is so satisfying. Anyways, I'm going to be using slow motion technology to explain this one because it's so much better in slow-mo. So you become untargetable, you jump to the target enemy, in this case Wukong, and you spawn this red circle of death on them. This red circle of death will explode and deal damage equal to your total AD plus a percentage of how much damage was dealt while the mark was active. Activating the ult again will cause Zed to return to his original shadow. There's no range limit for this, and you have 6 seconds to do it, so you can pull off some pretty crazy plays with it. Alright, so on to Runes of Masteries really quick. I get all the offensive masteries that are related to AD. I wish I could put a point into Blade Weaving, but I'd rather have Executioner, Dangerous Game, Warlord, Devastating Strikes, and Havoc, so I can't really put the point in there. I grab Defense because I don't like the utility tree. I don't think it's that useful. I get the reduced auto attack damage because you always get auto attacked as Zed, and I get the increased health and the increased armor and magic resist. Now on to runes super fast. There are 2 pages that I like to run. It's either AD with Armor Pen or it's AD with Lifesteal. Recently I've been running the Lifesteal a lot more because I usually start off with Blade of the Rune King, so the additional 4% Lifesteal is super useful. 2 Lifesteal Quints, 1 AD Quint. All of my marks are AD, and I get flat armor yellows. Half my blues are MR per level, and half my blues are flat MR. I don't know why I did this. It doesn't really matter if you take them all flat MR or all MR per level. It's the same for Zed. Alright, so moving on to ability combos. There are quite a few combos that you can execute on Zed, but you have to analyze every situation by yourself to determine which one you need to use. The most basic combo is the WEQ combo. Zed throws his shadow out and then you E immediately afterwards, slowing the target. This helps you land your Qs. Now you must decide whether or not to W to the shadow. In this clip I choose to, because Annie is low and I can finish her off with another E. Keep in mind that if you E'd immediately after throwing the shadow, your E will be off cooldown before the shadow disappears. If you have your ultimate up, you should always try to lead with it, as this will give you an escape for when you're done your burst rotation, and it will save your W for further chasing or dodging skill shots. But that was a little bit fast. Let's look at an example in slow motion. Here I ult to Jinx. When I arrive, I auto and E her immediately. Then I W, switch to the W shadow, Blade of the Rune King and auto her, hit her with 2 Qs, and then ult back out to safety. You can see Zyra throwing her snare, Lux throwing her shield, and Rammus running up to me to taunt. But all of them were too slow, and Jinx dies without me even getting touched. Now obviously, this combo isn't the easiest to pull off, but with enough practice you'll eventually get the hang of it, and then every time you play Zed you can pull off random combos like this. Now as these clips play in the background, I'd like to discuss a few possible builds for Zed. Of course, you're always going to have to adapt your build to whatever situation you're in. For example, if their AD carry is fed, you might want to pick up an early Chain Vest, or if their mid has gotten a few kills on you, you might want to rush a Hex Drinker or something like that. But this is going to be the build that I'll generally try to stick to. To start, Zed can either get Doran's Shield, Doran's Blade, Boots, or Longsword. A while ago you used to be able to start Fort Pot, but ever since they nerfed First Blood Gold, I think it's too risky to invest 350 gold into an item that might not return anything to you. Doran's Shield is a great starting item against ranged champions who abuse their auto attacks. For example, an Anivia, an Ahri, and Annie, these would all be champions that you'd want to start Doran's Shield against. Doran's Blade is a great start against passive champions like Morgana. But if you're confident in your dodging abilities, you can start this instead of Doran's Shield. Boots are great against champions who rely a lot on skill shots such as Cassiopeia. So if you're not confident in your dodging ability and you want the extra movement speed, Boots are a great choice. If you're confident in your dodging abilities, as well as your ability to hit your own skill shots, I'd suggest you start Longsword just so you can get your Bilgewater that much faster. You want to get your Blade of the Rune King as soon as possible, but you might decide to pick up a Brutalizer after you get your Bilgewater Cutlass. The extra Armor Pen and CDR are great on Zed. After that, you want to get your last Whisper, and then come back and finish the Black Cleaver. After this, there are several build options. It doesn't really matter which one you pick, it's up to your own preference. You can get Ravenous Hydra, Bloodthirster, or if you want a bit more defense, you can get QSS or GA or something of the sort. What time to get boots, as well as what type of boots to get, is entirely up to you to decide. And I think that covers just about everything. I'm going to leave you guys with a bunch of random clips that I didn't use for the main part of the guide, and I hope you enjoy them. Also, feel free to leave any criticisms or any ideas or any suggestions for future videos. Just try to keep the comments constructive. Also, sorry for the crappy quality. My computer doesn't really have the best graphics card, and recording stuff is kind of a pain for this laptop. Thanks for watching.